Rams fans, welcome in on this edition of Rams Showcase. The Rams season ends in ice-cold heartbreak. Let's talk about it. Plus, who stays, who goes? I'll make my picks, and later, the Rams are good, but where can we see this team improve this offseason? Let's get into it. Let's rock.
This is Rams Showcase with your host, Sheriff Joe Bags.
Yes, welcome into it, Rams Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags, at Sheriff Joe Bags, at Rams Showcase, where you follow along on social media, and also ramshowcase.com. Check it out there. Also, catch me every Tuesday night, part of the Tuna and the Sheriff Show. Absolutely awesome. That is broadcast live on the First and Tuna podcast YouTube channel. Also the Rams Showcase Facebook page. So check it out there. We just spend about 30 minutes every Tuesday. This week it happened actually Wednesday morning, so that is out for you. But we're going to be going once a week for about 30 minutes, just kind of chatting ball, man. So I'm fired up about that show. It's absolutely awesome. We're only 3 episodes in, but going really, really nice. And also, now that the Rams are officially into the offseason, Joe's other podcast going to be getting a first episode release rather soon. Just wrapping up some final details on that. Details to come. As well, we need to wrap up first. So there is that part of it. Lots to get into. Not a game preview, which is very unfortunate. Obviously, you know, we were talking about that. The more game previews, the better. You know what I mean? And I only wanted 2 more. Was that too much to ask for? I suppose so. But I think that ultimately, man, we'll talk about that game here in just a moment. I did want to do a little bit of a wrap up on that game just because of what it was. And I mean, what a big game that was. So first, though, I want to just touch on a little bit of news here. And the first bit here would be that the Chicago Bears request to interview assistant head coach and secondary coach Aubrey Pleasant of the LA Rams. Aubrey Pleasant is one of my favorite coaches on this entire roster, so I certainly don't want to see him leave because I think he does absolutely incredible job. If Chris Shula was going to leave, then I wanted Aubrey Pleasant to get the DC job, but Shula doesn't look like he is going to be leaving, so I would say that that Aubrey Pleasant probably sticks to his current role unless something happens in the world of somebody getting hired. And what I was looking for here is the comment that McVay said. I haven't fully looked into this yet. I haven't fully looked into a lot of stuff that McVay said, and there's a lot of things that McVay is saying that I do need to dive into. But I'm looking for audio and video clips. I don't want to read what he said because Sean McVay is one of those guys. We need to see it with our own eyes, all right? But McVay's comments, one of his comments here, posted by Stu Jackson, killer for the Rams, by the way. That guy's awesome. Says, unless guys get better opportunities, we'll have the same staff next year. And what that's kind of in reference to here is the fact that I'm kind of missing where it is now. I thought I was going to be able to find it, and I can't. So that's real fun. But the conversation was Nick Caley getting a possible look at an offensive coordinator position, and that the request has not officially come through yet. And gosh, this is the great story that great news that I'm breaking for you right now, right? I'm just like, hey, there was somebody that got interviewed for somewhere, maybe. What a terrible update for you. But yeah, it was Nick Caley, but has not yet officially been asked to interview. So we actually don't know. It was the Bears offensive coordinator job. We don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. And then, of course, with the Aubrey Pleasant news, obviously we do not want that to happen. Not only do I want Aubrey Pleasant to be the next defensive coordinator of the LA Rams once Chris Shula is gone, I also want Aubrey Pleasant to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Rams once Sean McVay is gone. That's how high I am on this guy. He is absolutely incredible. So we'll see what happens, but also, you know what? Not going to be selfish here. If he can go, further his career somewhere, then, hey, I'm all for that as well. And I will say just, you know what? Hey, man, good luck to you. And I'll always support Aubrey Pleasant. That is definitely never going to be in question. I think that guy is a pinnacle coach in the NFL, pinnacle human being on this planet. And, just all around great dude. Nothing bad to say about Aubrey Pleasant. I would be surprised if anybody did. That guy's absolutely awesome. Let's talk about this game, all right? Philadelphia Eagles did defeat the LA Rams 28-22 this last Sunday. And man, I don't know if it's just me or if you're in this with me as well, but it felt like the Rams were scoring, right? Like we were on that final drive, a couple of 30-yard plays, dude. And of course, it just kind of fell apart there at the end. And we can blame whoever we want to. I've seen it a bunch. I've seen, Bo Limmer needs to be cut because he missed that block. But he had a killer season. We're going to cut him on one play? Come on now. We need to cut Matthew Stafford because he was playing hurt and didn't. It was like, yeah, I didn't know he was playing hurt either, but also he's always doing that. So what are you talking about? We need to cut Cooper Kupp because he doesn't do anything. Well, when he was targeted, he looked pretty dang good. I don't know about you. We need to cut Kyron Williams because he fumbled that ball. Dude, it was snowing. He fumbled one time, 5 times on the season. 2105, Eric Dickerson's season, fumbled 14 times. We're not talking about that, are we? And then, I mean, I've seen a bunch of things. This guy needs to go. This guy sucks. This guy is no good anymore. And it's like, how about the Eagles are a pretty good team, and we played the crap out of them dudes in their house in the snow. I mean, I ain't that mad, actually. And it's kind of funny because as I was walking into my apartment, I just got home from work. I'm walking into my apartment, and I'm thinking about this game, and I'm thinking about, like, how am I talking about this game? Like, because it's happened. It's been 4 days now. We've all kind of had time to process it. I don't need to go over the things that happened. We all watched it. You know what I mean? So I kind of was like thinking about, it's like, how do I want to approach this game? How do I want to talk about this? And my very first thought after asking myself, how do I want to approach this was, well, I'm good. I'm okay. I've healed already. I feel like that game definitely crushed my soul on Sunday and Monday. But quickly after that, it was like, you know what, dude? I kind of like brushed myself off a little bit. I Destiny's Child did it a little bit and just kind of was like, you know what, dude? It's like, no, we were 1-4 and we just played to the end in Philadelphia in the snow. Dude. Okay, so let me pull this back in for you. All right, 1-4. I was at that game. Green Bay Packers at Los Angeles Rams this season. It was a blast. Had a killer time. Did the tour the day before. Was like field level SoFi. Top tier experience. That part's irrelevant. So the next day we go to the game. Obviously it's a close game. Rams are right in there the whole time with these guys. The Green Bay Packers, playoff team, stuff like that, but fall short. Untimely fumble by Kyron. Yes, sure, whatever. But fall short in that game. I'm sitting there with my buddy who is a Packers fan. And you know what? He's all stoked up and stuff like that. You got to see Jordan Love play and his boys and stuff like that. Got to see him win and stuff. But I'm sitting there and it's like, dang, we are really 1-4 going into the bye week, man. 1-4. I didn't give up. Definitely not. I never do that. If you've been here with me all year, you know that I'm always like, yo, we can do this though. So it was one of those of like, oh, we are 1-4, man. What is this going to look like? What is this, another 2022? Like, what are we doing here, man? So, but at the same time, it was like, hey, we're beat up. We don't have our offensive line. Kupp's not playing. Puka's not playing. We're still short on defenders and stuff like that. It's like, hey, we're going to be okay. We're all right, man. I feel it. And then turns around. Everybody hops back on. Rams fans are happy again and watching the show again. I see the numbers. You don't tell me that our fan base isn't shaky. I see the numbers, all right? When we lose a few games in a row, my numbers dip hard. We start winning, my numbers skyrocket, all right? So don't give me that. I can tell, too, on my side, all right? But either way, man, to go from 1-4 to be absolutely decimated like that, Matthew Stafford's in at NFL Network talking in the morning about like, hey, you know what? We can do this around and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, we can, man. And then you go all the way, you turn it around, you actively do it. You ended the season as like the healthiest team to ever end a season ever, which is a sidebar bummer comment. But it's like, I don't wish that anybody was being in pain right now, but also it's like to end healthy is like, dang it, man. It's like, we're still good though. We keep playing, man. But then to go to have this path kind of course through, we're playing games against like the Bills, win that one, big win, stuff like that. We're winning divisional games. You go all the way to the playoffs. You beat up on a really good Minnesota Vikings team at your house, I guess, in Arizona. But then you go into the playoffs or into the divisional round and it's a snow game. It's cold. It's Philly. They're a boring team. They run 3rd and short, run the ball. 4th and short, doesn't matter. Run the ball. They're good on defense. They're hard to move the ball on, stuff like that. and we got it to 28-22 with a shot to win it at the end. And I think ultimately what I'm trying to tell you here is that if leaving SoFi Stadium, if you would have walked out SoFi Stadium with me in that game against the Green Bay Packers at 1-4, put your arm around me and said, hey man, what if we just have a shot to go to the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia in the snow? We'll be at like the 15-yard line with a little bit of time left to win the game and maybe go on. Just a shot. You cool with that? 1,000%. I'm saying yes all day, every day. Obviously, we want to win that game. Feels a lot like the Philadelphia Eagles were the biggest hurdle in the Rams' path. And it feels a lot like the Rams can play with any of these 4 teams still playing. And that's the bummer of it, that we're not anymore. You know what I mean? But I think that ultimately, man, you look at the fact that we were 1-4, go through the season, we're beat up, we got all this crazy stuff. Matthew Stafford, he's too old. Cup's going to get traded and all this stuff. And then to be in that spot in a game that matters, snow, crazy, all that stuff, man, I will take it. And I mentioned the snow so much because it's like, we know, like, Stafford's now 1-9 in snow games all time. But he was there, dude. And that was one of his best games of the season. In fact, I would say is his best game of the season. He looked absolutely unbelievable. We saw like 4 no-lookers in that one, dude. He was on. And then we found out after the fact 4 cracked ribs. Are you kidding me? God dang, that's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So I don't want to hammer this game too much, man. But that's just about it. Obviously, we wish we could have pulled it off. But I think everybody in the world, every single Rams fan, every single NFL fan, yes, including the Eagles fans, they were sweating, man. They thought, I've already heard from Eagles fans that were like, I really thought y'all were scoring on that last drive and going to win by 1. Fully felt it. And it's like, yeah, dude, me too. So, you know what, man? There's nobody in the NFL, and if anybody's denying it that they felt like the Rams were at least maybe going to score on that drive, they're lying to your face. You don't need those kind of people in your life. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead. I don't know how deep we are yet. We're not too bad. So let's go ahead and talk about some futures contracts that we've seen come in so far. And then we'll take a break and we'll hit our Who Stays, Who Goes segment. One of my most popular ones every single year. Whenever I knock that one out, that one gets eaten up. So we'll head into that here soon. But first, let's take a look. Futures contracts for Rams players. Cornerback Charles Woods. Linebacker Keir Thomas. Wide receiver Drake Stoops. Defensive tackle David Olajiga. We have linebacker Elias Neal. Cornerback Cam Lampkin. Sean Jolly, cornerback as well. I met his family. They're really, really nice people. They were awesome, man. Safety Tanner Ingle. He laid a pop on somebody. Who was that against the Texans in the preseason, dude? Laid it down, man. I was like, I thought he was going to make the team just on that. Defensive tackle Jack Heflin. Corner AJ Green. The corner AJ Green. Linebacker Tony Fields. Wide receiver Quintez Cephas. And tackle AJ Arcuri. So names that you're going to want to definitely keep your eye on are really all those guys. We're probably going to see these guys a lot in preseason time, but Charles Woods stuck around most of the year. Keir Thomas, he's been around for a while as well. Drake Stoops was around preseason last year, and depending on what happens in our wide receiver room, maybe could stick around, but likely just kind of sits around and get some offseason time and some preseason is what I would assume for him. We also got Neal, the linebacker. He actually did play in some live action this year. That's pretty cool. Cam Lampkin also had a good pop in the preseason. I think that one was against the Chargers, though. Good stuff there. And then we also got Quintez Cephas is a name to kind of keep your eye on. It's a name that is a little bit more recognizable than maybe some of these others. And also AJ Arcuri. Fully expect him to be back around. And actually, I would venture in to say that Charles Woods, Keir Thomas, and AJ Arcuri are guys who I would say are most likely to stick around on the active roster of the 2025 Rams. Obviously, a lot to happen between now and then, so we'll kind of see how that shakes out. Also, was that Sean Jolly's definitely had some time on the roster. So yeah, I will kind of see how it all shakes out with these guys, but these are your futures contracts, so they'll be at least hanging out for a little bit. Some other guys getting futures contracts on other teams, and these are just some names that I kind of pulled just scrolling down the list of guys that stuck out to me as former Rams. So we have safety Russ Yeast. He is signing a futures contract in Houston, as well as guard Tremaine Ankrum, also sticking around in Houston. Let's see here. Wide receiver Tristan Jackson signing his futures contract in Arizona. Quarterback Brett Rippon signing his futures contract Minnesota Vikings. Also, wide receiver Lance McCutcheon in Pittsburgh. And also, just a fun note that I did see on scrolling down the transactions as well is safety Harrison Smith of the Minnesota Vikings fined $45,000 for impermissible use of helmet versus the Rams. And I actually don't know what it was. I couldn't pinpoint it. So maybe I'm just not paying attention, or he just probably took off his helmet or something. You know what I mean? So yeah. Let's see here. No sponsors for you, so just a heads up. Again, Tuna and the Sheriff. Ram Showcase Facebook page, also the First and Tuna YouTube channel. You can check it out there. I will link all of that in the description below. Rams got a few decisions to make when it comes to free agency. Who stays, who goes of the guys whose contracts are expiring. I'll take my shot at it right after this break. It's Ram Showcase. It is Ram Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. LA Rams getting into offseason action. This is something I very adamantly do, okay? And I had what I'll say, spirited, all right? Emotional. I don't want to be mean about it because it's not something I want to be mean about at all. But I did have just a charged message about the way I answered one of my fan quesos, which is, it was like week 14, 15, something talking about team needs in the offseason. And I was like, yo, we'll deal with offseason in the offseason. We got playoffs and stuff to talk about. And I got a spirited message about how I didn't answer the question and that was, ridiculous and stuff like that. And to that person, hey, I mean, I stand by it fully, and I'll defend myself on that all day. Week 14, you're going to be talking about offseason? Nah, dude, get that out of here. Maybe there's other shows for it. I don't know, but we were gearing up we were in a playoff race, trying to win the division, and it was like, well, yeah, but where can we get better next year? And it's like, we might be the best team this year, dude. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to hammer on that, but basically what I'm saying here is, games are done now. It is time to start talking about who's going to be sticking around, who's going to be not sticking around, who's going to be Rams next year, who is maybe a future opponent of the Rams next year, as we, of course, dive into official offseason topics. It is that time, though. It is time now to start talking about offseason stuff now that the Rams games are officially over, which leads us into, first and foremost, before we get into looking at, all these other teams and who are they not bringing back and who can we add in. First of all, this Rams team, very, very good. I think we need to be in an accumulation phase right now. I think we need to keep as many people as we can and then just try to add where we think we can get better. So that brings us to our own guys. Before we can look at the other teams, we need to look at our own guys, all right? Who stays, who goes, LA Rams 2025 free agents. These are my picks. Let's go ahead and dive into it. We'll go ahead and start on the offensive line. Offensive lineman Joseph Noteboom. Joe Noteboom. Us Joes got to stick together, man. But I will say this. Noteboom being inactive and not even being suited up to potentially come into games, especially late in the season. We did see that against Philadelphia. I think that is all you need to know, that Joseph Noteboom is not going to be returning to the Los Angeles Rams. My prediction is that Noteboom goes. And I don't have a prediction on where I think that he lands, but for some reason, Minnesota sticks into my head. And I'm going to try to give you at least one team for the guys who I predict are going, where I feel like they will go. And Noteboom, for some reason, feels very Minnesota. Also, Houston sticking out in my head. Not sure why. Next up, tackle A.J. Jackson. You might know him as Alaric Jackson. A.J. Jackson is what he told me very adamantly that he prefers to be called over Alaric, so I will call him A.J. Jackson, and I'm going to go ahead and guess that he stays. He is still very young, only 27 years old, still plenty of good football years in this guy, and he is an absolute monster. Guess whose name you weren't hearing week 3 and on all season long? Yeah, A.J. Jackson. I left out weeks 1 and 2 because he was suspended those games, so that does factor in, I think, a little bit. It does. I think it has to. But ultimately, I do think that A.J. Jackson sticks around And I'll just go ahead and pencil in all 5 starters returning for the Rams on the offensive line. That is, though, the only one that is up for an extension here. Next up, wide receiver Demarcus Robinson. D-Rob hitting career highs in most categories this year as a member of the LA Rams. Of course, those numbers helped quite a bit by the injuries early in the season to 10 and 17 on the Rams offense. So Demarcus Robinson, number 15, getting his work there, but also creeping in real nicely when those guys were back. 2 touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings, walk-off touchdown against the Seattle Seahawks, so definitely still getting his work, and I'm going to go ahead and say that D-Rob stays. I think that he sticks around. I think that the conversations involving Cooper Kupp, who is not a free agent, depending on which direction those go, I think definitely helps this decision to keep Demarcus Robinson around. I do think that he sticks around, though. I think he's kind of fit his way into being a pretty important piece of this Rams offense. So I'm going to say D-Rob sticks around. Quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy GQ, backup. Of course, for the Rams this season was backup. He was suspended to start the season as well, much like A.J. Jackson. But once he came back, he was QB2 for the whole season. We did get to see him in week 18. He looked fine, but was also playing with a lot of backups, so hard to judge that. I do think, again, that the Jimmy Garoppolo decision, whether he stays or goes, will be impacted by the future of one Matthew Stafford. I think that Sean McVay is really high on Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that is all you need to know about whether or not he's going to stick around on this Rams team. Does Garoppolo have a market if he were to hit the free agent scene? That I'm not sure of. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jimmy Garoppolo stays. I think the Rams, with the cracked ribs and stuff of Stafford, if Stafford does stick around, I do think that the Rams will want to stick with having a veteran at that spot, much like they had Carson Wentz the previous year. So I think that that's going to be something that the Rams kind of stick to. Jimmy Garoppolo, I say, returns. And I'm just going to throw this out there as just a quick little comment here. I hope he's not QB1 going into the season. At least not by choice. I hope if he is QB1 that just like Stafford's just like he just needs one more week. You know, I don't wish injury on Stafford, but I hope that that's the case instead. If we do need to see Jimmy G QB1 week 1. Next up, linebacker Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt is very famous for, throwing up the LA after big old sacks and stuff like that. And I think ultimately becoming a really big fan favorite. Does he need to stop being in coverage? Yeah, he does. But ultimately, I mean, the one that we saw, what did we see? It was Michael Hoyt on Jefferson the other day. It was like, wait. Let's not do stuff like that, please. But either way, Michael Hoyt, he is a leader of this team. He is that veteran linebacker that the Rams, just kind of, they've been leaning on quite a bit over these last, this year, especially the previous year, I'd say as well, even though, Donald. But I think with Michael Hoyt, he's got a Rams tattoo, he's got a Super Bowl tattoo, and ultimately, maybe I'm wrong here, man. I don't know anybody's motivations, and I think that that's very key. Our motivations are, we love the Rams, stay with the Rams and take no money, just be awesome for the Rams and be cheap about it. That's not everybody's. Some people's motivation is location. That's why Darius Williams played in Jacksonville for 2 years. Some people's motivation is money. That's why some people have gone places or whatever. Some people's just length of contract. That's literally why we don't have Von Miller anymore. He wanted more years. We were offering 3. Bills were offering 5. He chose Bills because of two more years. That kind of thing happens. I don't know Michael Hoyt's motivations, but what I will say is I think he likes being on the Rams enough that we will be able to work something out. I'm going to say Michael Hoyt sticks around, part of the LA Rams defense. Next up, wide receiver Tutu Atwell, the Tutu train. Tretarius, he's been around. Obviously, a draft pick of the LA Rams, kind of sold to us as like this speed demon guy. He's going to be, a possible Tavon kind of replacement kind of situation. His 40 receptions this year are a career high. And what I will say about Tutu Atwell is, because I've got nothing negative to say about Tutu Atwell. I know I have in the past. I'm a new Joe, all right? I'm a new Joe these days. I like Tutu Atwell. I got his jersey in my closet here. I've got a signed picture here behind me. Yeah, I'm all aboard the Tutu train. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this. 40 receptions, career high. That happened this year. 1 reception on, I think it was 2 targets, or one or two targets against Philadelphia, and snap counts extremely low. What I'm going to say about Tutu, because I've got nothing negative to say about him, is I think that his production is replaceable. And I think that we do that via the draft. I'm going to predict that Tutu Atwell leaves the Los Angeles Rams, but I don't have I don't have a want for this. I don't hope that this happens necessarily. I would say though I am fairly indifferent. I'm not going to be, sitting here crying about it or anything if he does go somewhere, because I also think that ultimately where my brain's going is that hey, his 40 receptions is his career high. I like this guy. I think that he's a good player. Let him go play somewhere who's going to use him more or better than we are, because the Tavon thing didn't work with McVay. The Tutu thing didn't work with McVay. So maybe there's something to it that he just needs to go somewhere else. Even Deshaun Jackson was like, get me out of here. I'm a speed demon guy. I don't know what you're doing. Get me out. Like, literally. So I don't know what happened there. Tutu Atwell, I'm going to say goes. As far as a prediction on where he goes, I do feel Chargers, man. Something screaming Chargers for Tutu. But I'm also going to go Jets. And I don't know if that's just because he's fast. I don't know. Linebacker Christian Roseboom. Boom. Yeah, man. What to say about Christian Roseboom this year outside of the fact that he started real rough, but then over the course of the season, better and better every single week, to a point now where I think he's actually playing pretty good football. Can we improve at the inside linebacker position? Absolutely, we can improve at the inside linebacker position, but Christian Roseboom on his current trajectory, I say we bring him back. I'm going to say Roseboom stays. Safety John Johnson, before he got hurt this year, was playing like probably the best safety in the entire league. We thought he was going to be back, did not get activated for any of these playoff games, which is very unfortunate. You got to think that he's chomping at the bit to get back on a football field. But I'm also going to say that I don't think that John Johnson, for some reason, his market is never that hot. I'm going to say that he sticks around on the Rams on like some kind of deal that's like not that crazy, maybe pretty incentive based. But John Johnson sticking around on the Rams just feels right to me. You know what I mean? Feels right. Tight end Hunter Long made his way via trade with the Jalen Ramsey trade from the Miami Dolphins. I think that ultimately Hunter Long, he's doing fine. He's not doing poorly, anything like that. I always wanted him to go off just because of all the fans that were like, we got a tight end for Jalen Ramsey. Who is this bum? And I want him to go off because it'd be like, yeah, dude, they knew what they were doing. It didn't work out necessarily. Didn't not work out, but Jalen Ramsey's a lot better than Hunter Long. And I don't think I'm blowing any minds saying that. I'm going to go ahead and say that Hunter Long goes, and that's because of Davis Allen, Colby Parkinson, Tyler Higbee. I think we're loaded at that position. So I do think that means that Hunter Long does not return. Tackle Connor McDermott. I'm going to go ahead and say that McDermott stays via depth, and I'm not sure if I'm predicting whether I think that he's going to stay to the point of, going into the season or anything like that. Obviously, it kind of factors in on like draft class, other stuff like that, on like how our depth is looking at that spot. But I would say that Connor McDermott can be cheap enough. We'll just go ahead and bring him back and keep him as a depth piece. I didn't give you any spots for Hunter Long, by the way. Hunter Long, I'm going to go Cleveland, and I'm going to go Pittsburgh. All right. Next up, defensive tackle, Laurel Murchison. I'm going to say that Laurel goes, and I think that it's because his market is going to be too high for us. I think that some team will be willing to pay him just like $1 million or $2 million more than the Rams are willing to pay, and I think that he takes that. And I feel like he's money motivated. But also, again, I don't know. I'm not having these conversations with these guys. And if they're money motivated, so am I. So that's cool, man. You ain't got to explain yourself to me. I will leave a job so fast if somebody offers me more money. Loyalty, dude? I'm loyal to the wallet, man. I'm loyal to this guy, man. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know about Laurel, though. But I'm going to say he goes. Ooh, something about Pittsburgh really sticking out for him as well. But I'm also going to put in Chicago. All right. Wide receiver Tyler Johnson. I think Tyler Johnson being inactive against Philly, that's not super telling because the Rams aren't beat up in that spot. Tyler Johnson, I have nothing negative to say about Tyler Johnson. He's certainly a depth piece for the LA Rams, but I'm going to go ahead and say that he goes. I think that from his perspective, he's probably going to want to find somewhere that's a little less loaded at the wide receiver position. for a better shot at playing this year. And it's not to say that he can't compete and get his way onto a Rams football field. I just think that ultimately what I'm thinking here is that he's going to want to go to a team that's got like one or two dudes who are really good, and then he's got the ability to just kind of like compete with them. You know what I mean? So I think that he's going to go ahead and take off. As far as that goes, another team that again sticks out to me is the Chargers in that world, but I'm also going to toss in the New England Patriots. I feel like Tyler Johnson under that Josh McDaniels offense could be a move there. Linebacker Troy Reeder started as an inside linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams, entering the season alongside Christian Roseboom, got hurt, then lost his job to Omar Spates, essentially, because Troy Reeder has been healthy enough. He even got activated. His practice window got activated, so he was actually back at practice this last week. I'm going to say, though, because of the comments we get from the Rams coaching staff, from guys like Greg Williams, really high on Reeder, McVay really high on Reeder, I'm going to go ahead and say that Reeder stays. I think that he doesn't start next year because I do think that there is a shakeup in that room, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Troy Reeder sticks around. Defensive lineman Neville Gallimore. Dude, this guy I feel like is a bit of an unsung hero of the Rams this season, and a guy that I feel like never gets talked about outside of Rams Showcase. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I have been kind of pounding the drum on Gallimore, man. This guy's playing really, really good football. Just keep that a secret to everybody, and maybe we can keep him around as a good depth piece. Because next up, Bobby Brown, I think, has outpriced himself. I think that Bobby Brown, I would love Bobby Brown back, and we've got a cheap defense, so we could definitely afford to sprinkle in a few more dollar bills at a few other positions that maybe we wouldn't be sprinkling some extra change on. But Bobby Brown would be one of those, but I feel like he's just going to go be a starter somewhere. We got Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk, and I feel like Bobby out here, although he does love being on the Rams, very blatantly, I think he just says that all the time, you know what I mean? I feel like he'll get an offer somewhere that it's like, oh yeah, dude, go do that. like we ain't gonna pay you that. So yeah, definitely go snag that, dude. As far as locations go for a defensive tackle, I haven't really thought about where Bobby Brown would go because I don't think I want him to go. Giga Maggie's, man, I'm a big Bobby Brown guy, so that's unfortunate. But where would I say Bobby Brown goes? Philly, for some reason, sticks out to me, and I don't even think they would really need him. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I take it back. Not Philly. I don't have an answer for you. Next up, Akello Witherspoon. Akello, man, so I feel like the fan perspective on Akello Witherspoon is very split and very all over the place. You see some people who are like, if we don't pay Akello Witherspoon, I'm lighting so... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where everybody's at with this. I think, though, I'm pretty middle road on Akello Witherspoon in the sense of like, this guy's not good, cut him, get him out of here, to the people that are like, if we don't pay him, like, what are we doing out here? He's CB1, he's top tier guy, pinnacle player. What are we doing? I'm not that level for sure. I'm closer to that side than the bad side, I guess. But ultimately, I would say that between Akello Witherspoon, and I would even include Darius Williams into this conversation, I just think that the Rams can improve greatly outside. At 1 and 2, far outside corners, I just feel like we can get better there. I don't dislike Akello Witherspoon. I don't dislike Darius Williams. I just really feel like those are positions we can get better at. Akello Witherspoon, I'm going to say goes. I think that Akello goes, but I feel like it's one of those situations like last year where maybe he's sitting free agent for a little while. But for some reason, San Fran is just popping into my brain, man. I would hate to see it, but it does feel like something that would possibly happen. So outside of that, if I were to give Akello Witherspoon a different gig outside of that, dude, you partner him with Pat Surtain in Denver, and I think that that's a killer squad right there, man. I think that that's a killer combo. You don't need him to be your number one, and in fact, I wouldn't put Akello as a number one. I don't think that he is a number one. I think that he's a really, really, really good two. But I think that the Rams could and should get a lot better on the outside. And those are your free agents. Who stays, who goes? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know below in the comments section, wherever you are hearing or checking me out. I want to know what you think. Do you think I'm a complete idiot for my picks here? Who would you say stays? Who would you say goes? I want to hear from you. Sound off, dude. Sound off. And real quick here, we'll touch on a few of these. And let's see here. Did I already take a break? Yeah, I already took a break. I took that break too early. We got a lot of stuff to still go into. Let's keep rolling. Restricted free agents for the Rams. We'll start with running back Ronnie Rivers. Mr. Rivers. If you get that reference, please let me know. Please. I would love somebody to know that reference. Mr. Rivers. It's so specific. Probably not. It's fine. I think that he does get an offer. I feel like we probably put like a 3 or a 4 on him, though, as far as the pick goes. So I do think that the Rams do get Ronnie Rivers back. Mr. Rivers. Linebacker, Jake Hummel. I do think that he gets an offer, although, dude, the emotions I felt when he hit Xavier Smith on that punt return, I haven't felt that much anger towards a Rams player in a very long time. I think Sean Mannion was was the last one, man. I went 0 to 60, so I was like, get out of the way, Jake. Like, so bad. Exclusive rights free agent. We have Dylan McMahon. I would say he probably returns as well. Those ERFAs, pretty cheap to keep around. And then there's some other names. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Rob Havenstein, and Jonah Jackson is, I think, a name to keep an eye on as far as potential cap hits or cap casualties or retirers. As far as Stafford or Havenstein goes. I don't necessarily have Havenstein retiring this year. He's about my age. I think he's 34. I mean, if he feels like me playing football, I would retire. I'm 33, dude, but these knees are double that minimum. This hip, dude, at least 45 for sure. So if he feels like me, which I hope he doesn't, then I would definitely retire. But we'll see what happens, man. Outside of that, not a lot of like cap guys that would save us a lot of money to get rid of. But I think that addition needs to be the objective this offseason. We are so close. And in fact, we were so close in Philadelphia in the snow that I think that you can argue that we're one of the best teams in the league right now. And so from that perspective, if we lost in the divisional round, hey, let's just add a few more pieces. Just a few more pieces, all right? Because 1 or 2 more pieces, you probably win that football game. Then you're playing at home this week against Washington. Feel pretty good about that, right? Then you go out to New Orleans to take on the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. We already beat them, dudes. So it does, there's a path there where it's like, oh yeah, we were like this close to just winning a ring again. What the heck, dude? So that's kind of where my brain is at. And in addition, because you look at Stafford, where the conversations all of a sudden we hear from Kelly Stafford of like, oh, I wonder if this is it. I guess we'll find out. And stuff like that. And it's like cracked rib and stuff. And it's like, maybe he is like, dude, these seasons are long, man. I'm getting out of here. Gonna hang out with my daughters, man. Like, no tea party rib cracking. All right. That only happens when you're, playing the Niners and stuff. So I think that ultimately, man, if the mindset is like, there's a meeting that happens, Havenstein, Cooper, Puka, Matthew, defensive veterans, like your Hoyts and your Johnsons and stuff. I feel like there would be like a one last ride situation that feels so real. Like a one last, like, hey guys, we know we're all coming to the end. Stafford knows that, Kupp knows that, Havenstein knows that, Johnson knows that. Everybody knows that eventually it's gonna fall apart. McVay's not gonna be here forever, but look at this team. Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, an incredible offensive line, a young defense that was playing like the best defense to end the season. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff here, with this defense, if you can tell them and pitch that to them of like, hey, our defense can get this done, man. Y'all in for one more? I think that is something that is absolutely possible, man. Swing for the fences this year, and then you can begin your offensive rebuild, because let's face it, our defense doesn't need a rebuild. Not for a while, at least. We're all super young there, dude. Even if John Johnson doesn't come back, we got Jalen McCullough, Cam Kinchin's out here, Cam Curl. Like, we're looking good in these spots, man. I think we need to get better on the outside at corner. But other than that, you can tell Matthew Stafford, like, hey, we can win it all with this defense. Let's do one more, man. Let's swing for it. Let's go one last shot, man. Let's 8-mile this thing, man. Let's do it. So I think that would be good, man. And I think that if the Rams truly were in a situation to say, we're going for it all, we're doing it. You say that in April, like, no. We got so close. We're in addition phase right now. We're adding, we're going, we're swinging for the fences, man. I think that is the only kind of thing that could happen that could possibly make Aaron Donald return. If we told him, will you call him and say, hey, man, the gang's back together for one last ride? You in, dude? That's Hollywood, man, which is what the Rams are, dude. Are you guys with me yet? I feel like this is going to happen, man. I feel like get your Super Bowl gear next year. It's already happening. Re-up on your Donald jerseys, dude. It's happening, man. But I don't know. But I guess just don't try to crush this for me yet. Can we just do that? Just don't crush this for me yet. The fact that we don't get any more Rams games for over a half a year, at least just don't crush this for me quite yet. Can we just do that? At least I feel like I can sit here and not harm anybody by saying like, hey, let's just go for one more. Next year is going to be so sick, dude. Bring the, run it back. Is anybody with me, man? Is anybody with me? All right. Let's see here. I'm going to take one quick break here, and then actually we'll dive into where the Rams can get better, and then we'll just shoot right into fan quesos after that. So hang tight. We'll be right back. It's Ram Showcase. Back to the action. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This is Ram Showcase. All right, as we dive back in, we'll get into fan quesos here in just a moment. But I kind of want to get a little critical right now. And that's something that I don't really do very often here on Ram Showcase. I do not like to down the team, down the players, anything like that. We're just here for the love of the game, dude. And I'm in Colorado. I can't impact the matchups or anything like that. So why get so worked up, dude? Everything's fine. My cat's screaming in the background. He agrees, dude. We know all about it. Carl agrees, man. So I want to just get a little bit critical. These are positions that, I mean, let's face it. Rams are one of the best teams in the league right now. We just kind of just discussed that about how, you're that close against an NFC powerhouse in their house as an LA team in the snow. And you come into that kind of situation, man, I feel pretty good about it. So we're not perfect. No one's ever perfect. And there's always a way to get better. Even as a Super Bowl winner, you can get better. You can look back at our 2021 roster and pick out spots where we could have gotten better. Absolutely. You can 1000% do that. So what I'm going to do is look at this current roster now and look at where we're at, where we're going, what we're kind of looking at this offseason. And I'm just going to kind of pick out positions that I think that the Rams can get better at. All right. And you may agree, you may disagree. That's totally fine. Feel free to just drop those thoughts below. All right. So we're going to start at running back. I like Kyren Williams a lot, man. I think a lot of us do. Kyren Williams is a really, really good player, man. I think that the untimely fumbles are what is getting people, because the number of fumbles is certainly not a lot. And I think it's just the timing of them. It's like how this one against Philly, it's like that's a drive where we're like, okay, if we can put this together, then we'll be good. And then they turn it over. It's like, come on, man. So untimely mistakes there. And then it was really Kyren and Blake, and then not a lot below that. And I like Ronnie Rivers. I've been a fan of Rivers for a few years, but I think that the drop-off is very clear after Blake and Kyren as far as that goes. So I think that depth would be my thing here. And I'm not saying that we need to move Kyren or Blake and improve at those spots. I'm specifically talking about RB3 and down, where I think that the Rams can definitely get better. And I think that is something that happens via draft. I don't think Ronnie Rivers, and again, that's not a comment on hey, we need to get Rivers out of here, otherwise we're not doing anything. Because he's RB3. I mean, that's not realistic. So I think that ultimately what I am looking at there, and let's be real here, Kyren is one of the top backs in the league. But, I mean, there's backs that are better than him, right? Maybe he's a top 3 and we can argue about it or whatever, but I mean, there's backs that if you offered me today, and no hate towards Kyren at all, that I'd be like, yeah, I'll take that trade. And no hate towards Kyren. You can tell me right now, sitting there owning a fireworks stand, and tell me you're not going Kyren for Saquon straight up right now? You're lying, dude. You're lying, man. So we can get better at that spot, although we are very, very good. Tight end. Tyler Higbee, I think, showed his value in his return to the lineup, but we have 4 dudes, including Hunter Long, who will not be under contract as of yet, at least, who I feel like are very similar players. Tyler Higbee is the best of that group, and Colby Parkinson is the second best of that group. But then Davis Allen and Hunter Long, I mean, these guys are all the same guy. I think this is very like Josh Allen lookalike contest when it comes to Rams tight ends, man. Like they're all just like 6'3" or 4" white dudes who all run the same. They all I want to say they all have like the same 40s and stuff. Like, they all are very, very similar players. It's just like those little tiny skill set things. Like Higbee is the best blocker of all of them. I would say that Davis Allen might be the best receiver of all of them, although Higbee definitely not bad there. So I think that drop on first down is in my head real hard on Higbee right now. That one broke my heart, man. That one broke my heart. But yeah, we can definitely get better at the tight end spot. But let's also face it, there is like 4 or 5 top tier tight ends in the league. And then like everybody else. Tyler Higbee, not in that elite grouping. But as far as like Rams tight ends go, best of all time. Best Rams tight end ever. And you can argue with me about that if you want to, but I've got stats to back it up, dude, so bring your A game. All right. Next up, offensive line. Would be really difficult to improve here, but depth. Depth would be great. Depth would be awesome. We saw what lack of depth does to your offensive line and therefore your entire offense this year. So obviously we would like to get that shirt up. And then I kind of also make this comment because of the Bo Limmer play, but also that's a 6th round rookie, dude. For him, he's going to have mistakes. We all do. Even McVay has mistakes. Stafford throws bad balls. Puka dropped a pass on 3rd down. You know, like we all do it. So I can't say, that's like we need to get rid of this guy. Because Bo Limmer did an incredible job. Now he's got some sweet experience on top of it being a 6th round pick out of Arkansas. But I think that ultimately you can always get better on the offensive line. Nobody in the league has the best guy at all 5 spots. That's why I think you can get better there. Inside linebacker, Christian Roseboom, he improved all season long. Not having a guy like Bobby Wagner is very much obvious, I think. I think that when you have even, we'll even mention Ernest Jones, which, by the way, I would like to make it be noted here that that is the first time I've said the name Ernest Jones this season. Except for the 2 times we played the Seahawks, and I don't think I mentioned him the second time. It was very on purpose. I don't know if anybody would have caught that. That'd be weird if you did, honestly. But that's only the second time, since the trade happened, was like, nope, we're not talking about Ernest Jones. He's not here anymore, man. Anyway, but it's just obvious when you don't have like a real like monster at that spot. Christian Roseboom, Omar Spates, they played well. All right. Spates, he's absolutely outplayed the way he got to the Rams as an undrafted free agent, but there's a lot of ways that he can improve too. And if you take away that UDFA tag, I would love to see people's opinions. And it's not to say that Omar Spates played poorly at all, but I want to see if you tell people that he is a 1st round pick, then what do people think about his performance this year? Probably pretty angry about it. So he outplayed where he is, and he's getting better every single week, and he was just a rookie. So there's all kinds of things. I'm not sitting here saying we need to get rid of Spates or anything like that. I do think, though, expectations do need to be tempered a little bit. I think that we kind of put a little too much on his plate, considering his performance in preseason. We Rams fans do that, though. Lance McCutcheon, Nelson Spruce, Omar Spates. There's a lot of names that we could go into there, but I do think that ultimately I like both of these guys. I like Christian Roseboom. I think I'm the only Rams fan who has this entire time, and I really like Omar Spates as well. Bromar Spates, if you will. Christian Brosboom and Bromar Spates. I just thought of that. Anyway, not relevant. Just hilarious for me personally, but I really like these guys a lot, but we can absolutely improve here. That's my point. Very similar position grouping next. Guys I like a lot. We can definitely get a lot better at, though. Cornerback. I do not dislike Ahkello Witherspoon. I do not dislike Darius Williams. In fact, I like both these guys quite a bit. But we can get better here, all right? It's just the same emotion that I have with that inside linebacker. We can just get better here, man. I like these guys. We can get better. Felt kind of nervous at any moment that we were just going to give up a huge explosive play. I know I'm not making that up. I know I know it. I know that I'm not making up that any time a ball was thrown deep, we're like, We made that same exact sound, dude. You can't deny me, dude. Don't try to say that that's not the sound you made when the ball was thrown deep. That's like what we all did, man. It was a very nerve-wracking time. And even when they were in position, sometimes they would still get beat for the ball. Just out-jumped and stuff like that. We saw that multiple times with both of these guys. So don't try to come in here and say, well, this guy didn't do it. They both did it multiple times. Both of them got burned multiple times. Both of them got outworked multiple times. And both of them missed plenty of tackles, all right? And I'm not just going to turn this into a session where I'm just ripping these dudes apart. That's not my intention, because if we go into the 2025 season with these guys as 1 and 2, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I just think that we can be better in those spots. I was a little too nervous on deep balls. I was a little too nervous when we're playing really, really good wide receivers and who's covering them, and not liking the matchups of that and stuff. Like a lot of times being like, I don't know. And then just the way they were kind of getting worked on some routes. Not to say they're bad players or anything like that. Again, I just think that we can get better. Akello is a UFA, so we could just, wipe our hands, say, hey, it's been fun, man. Thanks for your 2 stints. Appreciate you. Foe, and foe. Those are your 2 numbers with us, man. Yeah, just go kill it somewhere else, man. So that could happen. D-Will being cut saves $6.8 million while eating $2.3. That is the same as a trade. The Rams also could designate a post-June 1 cut, and that saves more money, but I don't think you would need to do that for a few reasons. One, okay, I feel like I'm getting really in the weeds on this, but let me try to mention this. So, again, the Rams, if they cut Darius Williams before June 1st, you save $6.8 million. $2.3 million is dead cap. If you wait until after June 1st, if you were to cut Darius Williams after June 1st, you eat $2 million in dead space, $1 million this year, $1 million next year, but your savings is higher, closer to $8 million. So do you want to do that? Do you not want to do that? The reason that the post-June 1 makes absolutely no sense to me is because if you're going to eat the dead cap anyway, you might as well do it this year. Defense is super cheap. You can do it. You can eat it. You can kind of tag it on that position grouping. We're not paying corners a lot right now. We're not paying defense a lot right now. So to eat the 2.3 instead of $1 million this year, $1 million next year makes perfect sense to me. Then second part, which is exactly why this would not happen, is that Darius Williams in his contract has a $3 million roster bonus for 2025 that kicks on the 5th day of the 5th league day of 2025, which this year lands on March 17th, well before June 1st, if you're keeping that in your head. So that the Darius Williams move would happen between March 12th, that the league year starts, between the 12th of March and the 16th of March. If Darius Williams isn't cut in that window, he is our cornerback, all right? Simply put there, it's very easy to follow. It's just convoluted with all the numbers, $3 million roster bonus, dead cap here, dead million next year, how much cap savings and stuff like that. Simply put, if it gets to March 17th and Darius Williams has not been cut or traded by the LA Rams, he will be on the roster for the 2025 season. The money just works out that way, okay? I promise you, that is the truth, okay? And if something different happens than that, I'll eat all of the words, dude. I'll do whatever I need to do to eat those words, okay? Because I feel that confident about it. You're not going to pay a dude $3 million as a roster bonus and then cut him. It just doesn't work that way. Let's go ahead and dive into our fan quesos here. Got to pull them up. I was not ready. Usually we take a break. So how would it be if I just didn't say anything? I just did this silently. Should I do it? Let's see. All right, sorry about that. That was stupid. Let's go in here. Fan quesos. We're going to start on the Facebook page here. First two here, coming from Felipe. What up, Felipe? I feel like you haven't been on quesos in a bit, man. Welcome back. Number 1, do you think Cooper Kupp will get traded or be released? Man, I don't know. It a little bit feels like it. I'll say that. Prediction, I would say probably just watched Cooper Kupp's last game as a Ram. Personal emotions involved. I really, really hope not, dude. I really hope he's back. I think that he's got plenty of good football in him. I feel like, much like the Matthew Stafford news where we found out he had 4 cracked ribs, I feel like we hear something about like Cup's knee or something like that of like, yeah, it's actually kind of getting worse. Feels a little bit like a Gurley situation where it's like, hold on, no, he's fine. No, he's good. No, everything's fine. No, he's just not, we're just not giving him the football, but he's fine. Like, you know, and it's like, hey, but that's one of your best guys. Shouldn't you want to give him the football? And you're like, no, he's all right. We're good. What's that over there? Who's that? Puka? Well, check him out. You're like, hold on, you know? So I would say prediction-wise, I think he's gone. Really hope he's not. I like Cooper Kupp a lot. And I think it's one of those things, too, because you can point at production, and it's like, well, what can you do for me in the future? And it's like, well, yes. And also, when he was targeted against Philadelphia, still looked like Cooper Kupp to me. I don't know, maybe my eyeballs are deceiving me. I do wear glasses, in fairness. So I don't know. And number 2 from Felipe, will Matthew Stafford come back? I fully anticipate Stafford coming back. I know that the conversation is going to be a thing for a little bit, but I think that Stafford does return for at least one more year. I wonder if Stafford will do the thing, though, where it's like, this is it. This is my last year. Or if it'll be one of those things where he knows it's his last year, but he doesn't say anything until the end kind of thing. So kind of like Aaron Donald, kind of knew that was his last year, but didn't say anything. Didn't tell anybody in the building or anything. And like McVay even was like, I kind of knew, but he didn't tell me. I knew though, like, you know, stuff like that. So I would say that Matthew Stafford does return next year. I think he does. I think that the way that game ended, I think it basically what's going to happen is they're going to be watching tape and he's going to see himself playing in that game and be like, oh no, I still got so much good football in me, dude. We could do this. Like, yeah, let's hammer it. So, yeah, I do think so. Next few here coming from Edwin. Emphasis on the win. Edwin, what up, man? Says, what a season, man. I always believed we would win the Super Bowl this year, and if it wasn't for a couple things going our way, I feel like it was very likely anyways. Anyways, I'm so proud of our team. We went so much further than anyone gave us credit for. Yeah, dude, including most Rams fans, oddly enough. I go into every year like, we're a Super Bowl team, dude. We're the best. Prove me wrong, dude. And then a lot of times people do. Yeah, even Rams fans were like, we suck. It's like, you suck. God. Boring. What a lame way to go into every week. Like, I can't imagine that, dude. Like, waking up on a Sunday, going to watch the Rams game and be like, whatever, we're just going to get beat anyway. Stupid. Like, I can't get in that game, man. I don't know. I know too many people like that. But, yeah, I'm not one of them. Can't be. Okay, move on. First question here from Edwin. Emphasis on the win. What was your biggest takeaway from the 2024 Rams team? Great question, man. Resilience. I think resilience is ultimately my question here. You enter the season beat up off of a 1-point playoff loss where you really felt good about that game in Detroit last year. Then you kind of come in, you go 1-4, you're beat up, your players aren't here, you're dealing with all this stuff, and just kind of it feels like it's falling apart on you. And at no point did anybody on the Rams be like, yeah, it's probably done. Like, everybody was like, no, there's plenty of games left. We're good. It's not over. We're not going to the playoffs until you tell me I'm out for sure. Till mathematically it doesn't make sense anymore. Till Plato and stuff like that can't figure out algorithms to get us into the playoffs anymore. All right. That's when I'll decide that I'll just chill and watch the rest of these games, because I'm not going to not watch, you know what I mean? But my biggest takeaway from this year, man, is resilience. I think this team, I mean, as corny as it might sound, is kind of inspired. Wait, what the heck? It's kind of inspiring, though, honestly, man. So just the way that this whole thing happened, the whole season, from front to back, man, just kind of the way we came in, hyped up, energetic. You barely lose to Detroit, who ends up, killing it this year and stuff. And yeah, it's resilience, man, and just no quit. Absolutely love that, man. It's definitely my biggest takeaway. Number 2, do you believe Kupp will return to the Rams in 2025? I feel like this is going to be a question I get asked often. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I hope so. That's what I'll say. I hope so. I'm kind of waiting to hear news, though. Well, yeah. Number 3, it was reported the Rams tried trading up to pick Brock Bowers. Are you happy they never went through and we got V8 Jared Verse? Or would you rather see Bowers catching passes from Stafford? You know what, man? I think I'm indifferent. I love Jared Verse. Jared Verse, V8 dude, top tier. Big, big, big fan of Jared Verse. Super stoked we got him, for sure. Probably my next jersey and stuff. Like, yeah, I'm fired up on Verse right now. But what I will say is the Rams going for Brock Bowers, who is, in my opinion, clear-cut offensive rookie of the year. No real competition there, I would say. I would say we would be thrilled if Brock Bowers to fit into our group of white dude tight ends. He could have slipped right into that, man. Could you imagine? We would have had Brock Bowers, Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Hunter Long, dude. That's a good group of whites right there. Oh, that's hilarious, man. But yeah, that would have been. He obviously killed it though. So, yeah, man, that's. I don't think anybody would have been mad about it. But also, we would have never been like, oh yeah, but if we didn't take Bowers, would you have rather had Verse? Like, we wouldn't have had that information. So, I'm happy either way. If we hit that alternate timeline where the Rams were able to trade up to like 9 and snag him from Atlanta, who did not need to trade up for Penix, dude, then, in that alternate universe, then I don't think anybody's mad that the Rams got Brock Bowers. And I think we're killing it, man. So good stuff. Let's see here. Number 4, what was your favorite memory of the 2024 Rams season? Mine is definitely the win over the Vikings in Arizona. I've never seen our fans/team so united to bring hope to the city of LA. Can't wait for the 2025 season. Forever and always, go Rams. Edwin, hell yes, dude. What I will say, my favorite memory, just beating the Bills, man. And I think specifically it's because I was there for that one. So short version of this story is the Rams have a pick'em game. If you don't play it, you're missing out, dude. It's absolutely awesome. Last year, I won one of the games. I got first place in one of the weeks, which is game tickets. And so once the schedule came, they emailed me and said, hey, schedule comes out. And then, we'll give you some games to pick from. You could choose your winnings there. And, so schedule comes out. The next day I got an email from the Rams. They were like, hey, what game you want, man? Like, you're going, dude. Which one you want to see? And I'm kind of looking at the list. The last 2 of the regular season are on there. Cardinals and Seahawks. But I don't want to do those because they're Saturday or Sunday. Then there's like Miami, but it's like, Mondays are hard. I got to travel. That's a weekday and stuff like that. So it's like, you know what? Bills fans, love them. I think they're absolutely awesome people. They party hard, dude. They're just really fun. Every Bills fan I think I've met, I've been like, this guy's cool. Maybe a few, but it's like they seem to be good people. You know what I mean? And so after that, then they sent me the tickets like almost immediately. So I had the tickets on my phone like a week after the schedule release, which was really cool. But it was one of those where it was like, man, it's like Bills. And as the season goes on, they beat up on San Fran the week before we played them, and it was like, oh man, this is gonna be so rough. and then we won, dude. So like, yeah, that was definitely for me, myself, that was certainly my favorite memory of the season, to be at a game where the Rams were given no shot to win that game, no shot to really even be in it, and then to have a performance like they did. And credit to the Bills who actually came back in that game, because the Rams were kind of putting the smack down. But definitely did a great job, man. But yeah, that's the Bills came back, but that's my ultimate. Going all the way out to LA for a game that the Rams had no shot in and walked out with a dub. Yeah, so sick, so sick. Heading over to the YouTube channel now. We'll go and start with GP Shadow. Also been a bit since you've been in here. What up, man? Let's see here. Who is your favorite rookie? I gotta say Verse. Honorable mentions are Kinchins and Cardi. Dude, honorable mentions are the class, my guy. That's such a sick class, dude. Fisky business, bro. Yeah, Cardi, Kinchins, McCullough, Spates, Limmer, Leviston. I was kidding. I don't want to. I'm not trying to down Leviston here. He just didn't get a shot to really, do anything. But yeah, my favorite rookie from this class is absolutely Jared Verse. I think that having like however it was 8 years between first round draft picks and then both being Jared's is really funny to me. But the way Jared Verse came in, and I think against the Philadelphia Eagles was one of those games, man, because like to go up front to ahead of the game, be like, I hate those guys. Awesome, right? To their fans, you're like, I hate their fans. Hate them. You even clarified it. He said, I hate their fans. They're super loud, obnoxious. I hate I hate the Eagles fans. Doubled down on it, dude. And then before the game, did a lap. And then during the game, 2 sacks. He's killing it out here. He's off a game where he scored a touchdown. Dude, Jared Verse is legitimately incredible. And not only is he legitimately incredible, I love the talkers, dude. I got a Cortland Finnegan jersey in here because I loved that stuff. So yeah, man, he's talking, he's backing it up, and he's absolutely just embarrassing dudes out here. So yeah, Jared Verse, definitely my favorite rookie. Love that guy. Let's see here. I'm gonna go. Okay, I'll start with this one. Off-season question. Hell yeah, payo time. Hell yeah, man, we are there. On a scale of 1 to 10. What are the odds the Rams make a trade involving multiple first-round picks this offseason? 1 being no chance, 10 being you know it. I'm going to go with a 2 here. Not no chance, because you never know who's going to pop up or who's going to be picking up that phone and be like, hey, Les, you got to hear them ones left. And yeah, you actually do now. We're back to having them. So yeah, we do. But the way that I think Verse is a little bit of an impact in this, because you got to think that the scouts and everybody else probably was like, yo, day 1's kind of cool, man. Like, we haven't had a day 1 in the LA draft room since literally Jared Goff. Day 1, like that, like, and at that point too, like, he wasn't, he was in the green room and all that stuff. It was just kind of a chaotic situation, and we picked immediately. So we pick, and then we just chill the rest of the day. So this was probably pretty fun. And like the trades with Bowers and stuff like that, this is probably, I mean, for sure, the most intense draft day that Sean McVay's had, having that be the situation. So I think that we'll keep that going. But I don't want to say no, though, because who knows, dude? Maybe there's I can't even think of a guy right now I'd give up a 1 for. Because I feel like we have such a good team right now that I think that what I would be looking for there is like X player. They want a 1 for him, and we can get him here. But our guy in that slot is here. Not much worse. Like, yeah, this guy's really good, and he is worth a 1, but only worth a 1 if the guy that you already have and you're replacing him with is like down here, I would say, which is what we've done with guys like Jalen Ramsey and stuff like that. So I think that is critical too, to know where you're improving that position. So I would say pretty unlikely. We don't have any glaring needs. We don't have any spots where it's like, if the Rams don't address this, it's over. Nothing cool's happening. You know what I mean? That's not a thing. Let's see here. Last one here, come from Payo Time. Could you please rank off-season events from most hype for Rams fans to least hype? The draft, the start of free agency, the schedule release. That's a good one. The owners' meetings. That's a good one. Start of OTAs, Sheriff Joe's first mock draft, the combine, start of training camp, and first preseason game. Okay, we're going to start at the bottom here. We're going to stop. I don't know, man. I don't know what to. We're starting last, okay? Least hype on all these things is definitely Sheriff Joe's first mock draft. And the reason that's least hype is because this actually doesn't exist, and it never will. I'm never going to do a mock draft. I think if you do a mock draft, hey, more power to you, but you are just wasting your time. You're just filling gap on a podcast or a YouTube channel. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever. Do your thing. I ain't telling you not to do it. I am telling you, though, they are worthless. They don't actually mean anything. So that's definitely the worst one. I don't want your mock drafts. I don't want to look at your mock drafts. I'm not going to give you my mock drafts. I'm not going to tell you who I think that the Rams are. I don't know. Nope. After the Rams pick somebody, though, I will dive fully into them and tell you everything I can find. And we will know exactly who that player is. Good stuff there. Next up, I'm going to go to the owners' meetings. I know you put a little laughy here, and that's... it's not exciting. I will say this, though, that 2016 owner meeting, riveting. I actually listened to a local show, wherever that meeting was happening. And I had an article written. This was back when I was just writing. It was 2 months before Ram Showcase started. And I was just writing about the Rams at the time. And I had a full article written all the way out detailing a move to Los Angeles. Title of the article, the St. Louis Rams, or the Rams have been approved to move to Los Angeles or relocating, or Los Angeles Rams, welcome, something along those lines. And I had the whole article all written, everything completely done. And I was at work at the time, and I was working with my other website guys, Paul and all that stuff, Paul and Mark and stuff. And I'm listening to a local radio station in this city, wherever it was. And one of the guy who was like live reporting, he was like, okay, I see some owners coming out. Okay, I do see Stan Kroenke. He is standing there. He is next to Jerry Jones. He is smiling. He is shaking hands with this person. And that's what he's like, he's smiling and shaking hands and like laughing and stuff like that. Fire that article off, dude. And I sent a message to the group, and I was like, yo, publish. LA Rams. And I was the first official publication in any capacity to release onto the internet an article saying that the LA Rams have been relocated. So that one, riveting. I don't know what just happened there, but absolutely awesome, man. So I would put that one kind of high, but overall, pretty dull stuff. Nothing really that exciting happens there. So after that, let's see here. So we've got still left the draft, free agency, schedule release, combine, training camp, preseason game. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go to the combine. We already have all of the game tape. In fact, today, as date of recording, it is January 23rd. We already have the game tape. I don't care about what you do when running around in shorts. The Rams don't even go to the combine anymore. That's how irrelevant that thing is. We send some guys for like meetings, I think, but other than that, like we don't send Sean McVay to go sit in the stands of Lucas Oil Stadium and with a stopwatch. That is so worthless and pointless, man. It is 2025. You don't need to do that anymore, man. In fact, I've got websites here. I could just give you all the numbers, man. I could give you all their numbers, all their combine stats. I can just go to the website right now, dude. I can even go, you want somebody's combine numbers from 05? I can go pull that, dude. You need it. You don't got to be there, man. So I would say the combine after that. Let's see. Post that. I'm going to say the draft after that. The draft, I realize, gets a lot of hype. It's a very exciting time. You're bringing in all these new players and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's extremely slow. It is dragged out over way too many days by now. I think that day 1 should just be 1, 2, and 3, and then day 2, the rest of the draft. I think that the old format was perfectly reasonable. Why are we drafting on a Thursday night? You boys got to work the next day. And why am I taking... round 1's not ending until, the middle of the night. It's like 1 a.m. out here, and the draft is finally ending, and I got to work the next day. So I guess, so I end up just going to sleep and be like, I'll just look tomorrow. Nothing's going to matter. If I know that the Jaguars drafted this guy tonight, or I know that they drafted him tomorrow, does not matter. So, so there's that part goes into my head. But the draft, ultimately pretty boring to watch. I mean, it's not very riveting. It's not fast paced, anything like that. So that one next. After that, let's go into... Okay, so I've left the start of free agency, schedule release, OTAs, training camp preseason game. I still have a lot of things to do. After that, I'm going to go OTAs, start of OTAs, not start of training camp. Training camp's a lot more exciting. So start of OTAs, just because it's not open to the public. We don't really get any information out of that. So there's just not a lot of cool stuff that happens at OTAs. Excuse me. And somebody was in here. My maintenance team came in here, and that's why this was backwards, by the way. I don't know. Anyway, continuing. Let's see here. So OTAs after that, then give me the schedule release. And I realize that that's not something that everybody agrees with, because that's a very hype time. That is when you can start planning out your whole year and stuff like that. But we get that in like the first day of May. And then it's like, all right, now we know what we're doing in October. Now we sit. And so it's like, it's cool, it's exciting, and I can start doing my stuff. That's actually when I start rolling the season, essentially, is when that's the schedule release is like, all right, Ram Showcase is rolling, man, let's go, So that's kind of my moment. But as far as it's like, okay, we see it. And it's like, you run through it for 20 minutes and then you're like, all right. And it's over. You know what I mean? So it's cool, but it's not that cool. Let's see here. Next up. I think start of free agency goes after that, man. Start of free agency is riveting. All right. It is like when you get that, the like your new guys coming in, all those contracts expire, and just like the Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter's thumbs are on fire. They're just cruising through stuff. Yeah. So that was pretty exciting. It's also the new league year, dude. It's a breath of fresh air, man. That's when we will enter season 10. The second that new league year start, well, actually it's the 16th of March is Ram Showcase's anniversary. So that's when season 10 will officially begin. But that's an exciting time, dude. It is. It's a fun time. And then I think I'm on my last one here, which would be the first preseason game. That is so fun, dude. First preseason game is pinnacle stuff. First of all, it's gorgeous outside, right? So it's summertime. We're bucket hats and, our Rams Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that, just having an awesome time. And then also, you get to see some of your depth, man. Maybe you get to check out some rookies that you had been hearing about all offseason. Maybe there's some UDFAs that you're like, hey, keep your eye on this guy in preseason and stuff like that. Or maybe there's just some of these young guys that we were just talking about. Your Sean Jollies and your Charles Woods. Maybe they come in and have an awesome preseason. Who's going to be the guy in the preseason who is the Nelson Spruce, the Omar Spates, the Lance McCutcheon, who are like, this guy's got to play some football this year for us, and we like lose our minds, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is so exciting, man. That's a blast. It truly is of like, we're back. Like that's like an exhale, like we're back. Like league year, schedule release, training camp, all that stuff. Those are things of like, okay, we're getting there. But when the Rams are on my TV in a actual game where scoreboards are on there and I'm hearing from JB Long and stuff like that, that's when football is officially back. Start of the preseason. Pinnacle. All right, absolutely love it, man. Thank you for dropping your fan quesos. Be sure to catch us on Tuesday nights, Tuna and the Sheriff. Be sure to check that out. Links will be in the description below, no matter where you can hear me. RamShowcase.com. Hopefully some more content headed your way as we dive into off-season schedule of Ram Showcase, because this is not a weekly show in the off-season. So we'll kind of nail down our schedule. We'll probably get release dates for you. I'll try to get those kind of scheduled out so that you know when a new Ram Showcase episode is coming, not just drop it on you randomly. Yeah, at Ram Showcase, at Sheriff Joe Bags is where you follow on your favorite social media. I think that's about doing it for me. All right, I'm gonna go. I don't know. It's be super cold, man. Now that football's over, it's just chilly and it sucks outside. It's dark and stuff. It's like 7 degrees here right now, man. I don't know. It's just a bummer. We got a cool offseason ahead of us, though, and plenty to get into. And so hopefully the Rams will be improving this offseason and going a little bit further than the divisional round. That is the plan. But thanks for hanging out with me. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This has been Ram Showcase on Sports War Radio and the Fansided Network. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you so much for watching/listening. Go Rams.